All right, hello and welcome to today's Envisâge interview. I am your host, Kat Huang, and my co-host is Alexandre and. Together we co-founded Envisâge, a project for understanding, discussing, and acting on age discrimination and bias towards women. Envisâge will be hosting an international conference on ageism towards women this November 2020. More details coming soon. Our guest today is Doreen Bieri, founder and co-CEO of the Cho Ngafor Foundation, whose mission is to empower the deprived and develop sustainable solutions to contribute to menstrual hygiene management in rural communities in Cameroon. So Doreen also has 13 years of experience as a geriatric nurse and close to 12 years of experience working in philanthropy and in NGOs such as the Afro-European Medical and Research Network. So we are extremely excited to have you here with us today and to learn more about the foundation and Dorena Pads, a project which is actually also a co-participant in the Bowie Project Incubator Program alongside Envisâge. So first, let's take a moment to introduce ourselves. Alex, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you, Kat. Good morning, good evening from Bangkok, and good afternoon, Doreen, that is in Europe. So for the people joining us for the first time, my name is Alexandre and. I use the pronouns he and his. I am a student, an activist, a feminist, and a traveler.
And hello there, hello everyone, greetings from Europe actually, and greetings to everybody listening or watching to us from around the world. My name is Doreen Bieri. I use the pronoun she because I represent, as a mother of 3 kids today, the girls in the community I save, and the women, and as a mother, I represent other mothers as well. Presently working as a geriatric nurse in Bern. So I'm happy and I look forward to exchanging views and minds with you all.
Great, thank you, Doreen. And I'm Kat Huang. I am an aspiring anti-ageist and a washable cloth pad user myself, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. All right, so since Envisâge is a project devoted to understanding and acting against ageism towards women, we'd like to invite our guests to first help us define what ageism is, right? So everyone has different life experiences and worldviews. So this really helps us and our viewers get a fuller picture of what the problem, or maybe I should say the problems are that we're dealing with, right? So Doreen, how would you define ageism, and what are some examples of ageism that you've seen in your own community or in society in general?
Okay, actually, one of the ways I look at ageism is that it is a natural, lifelong process. Nobody was born to remain a child. And so at a certain point in life, we are all going to take the natural biological process of getting old. And this comes with its negative and positive effects as well. But the society has such stereotype perceptions about being old that the old people are really like focused and kept in one corner and they are just forgotten. So if I look at our society today, talking about the perceptions they have, if you see an elderly woman or woman married to a young man, it is already a cause for concern to the society. But if you see a young man, an elder man married to a young girl, nobody talks about that. So there are really these disparities that you look at it and say, hey, has the lady not got a right? She's got a right. If you also take a very simple example from my working area, you see a young guy who comes there with a broken leg and an elder woman who comes there with a broken leg, run to give assistance to this young person, forgetting the fact that the elder woman also needs the same assistance. And the conception of the society has been one in such a way that we all know, we all think the young guy is going to regain his body quickly, is going to heal faster, so we should give him that pride of place over this old person, because the old person, yeah, she is just there, she is of no use. But at the end of the day, some of these old people, they have wisdom, they have thought, mind-provoking ideas. that the generation of today can really use it. But then because they are looked upon as old people, they are just left with these ideas. I enjoy, one of the things I do at work is I enjoy very much talking to them, creating a biography. They know me at my job site that I like to get into the deep part of the biography of these people. And just because they are old, it doesn't mean that they are useless. Some of them really still have so much we can learn from. I learned about the World War I when I was doing history in school from my old grandmother and grandfather. The examples they could give, they stick till today. So these are some of the things the society has really got its own negative and stereotype ideas the way they look at the old people. And this particular age group of people, again, when I talk about somebody 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they are still very, very good. The society has just left them, and the world does not even think some of them at 80 are useful. So I think I really like your idea, your program of trying to bring forward the fact that being aged is not bad. It is but a natural and biological process, but this group of people are being forgotten. So what about them? Thank you. Your question.
Yeah, thank you, Doreen. That's absolutely right. That's, you know, what we're trying to get at, try to understand why and try to figure out what we can do about it to right this wrong. And you mentioned the younger man and the older woman going in with some kind of injury, right, at a hospital, I think you said. And we are very eager to learn more about ageism in the context of women's health, for sure. So this is shrouded in, to use your word, silence and taboos in many communities, far too many communities around the world, specifically with regards to menstruation and incontinence among girls and women, right? The associated shame, stigma, lack of access to resources, to education, even the feminine hygiene products themselves, right? It's pervasive across cultures, but it's also taken for granted in a lot of higher income areas of the world, especially in comparison with lower income areas of the world. Because when we think of access, right, it's often more available in higher income areas. So before discussing this and the foundation further, we also wanted to ask you to briefly explain for us what incontinence and menstruation are. These are going to be important terms that we'll be talking about today.
Okay, when I look at the term of incontinence, I still relate some of these things to my work because I really cover the topic so much. But besides my work, it is something that happens day to day. So incontinence is the passage of urine or you lose water. It means your bladder hasn't got the possibility to hold well. And this is something that, if I look at the context of the society in Europe, it is really under control. Some health reasons might occur somewhere along the line that you need some more help. But the people growing up, the elderly people in Switzerland, like the mothers, for example, when they give birth, they have different types of exercises to help them keep the areas around the bladders fit. They do so many exercises. As a contrary to our African society, where I come from, Cameroon, actually, and it is a society where nobody even thinks to talk about that. And the rate at which the women give birth in Cameroon, or we have a higher rate, we have 4, 5, 6, 7 to 12 children. A woman delivers 12 children as compared to 2 children here. So we have this loss of holding urine, this bladder, which gets a bit weaker. You can divide it into the part where it is natural because of birth. It can be caused because during birth you give birth so many times, and the expansion of the baby coming out or the baby sitting in the womb and pressing the bladder and everything. Most of our communities back in Cameroon or in Africa or somewhere around the world in other communities, the women don't have this possibility to do these trainings again. And you have it in different types. Some, like I said, the natural one, some are caused due to illnesses, and some come alongside with the age. Even if without children or with no children, deliveries or with no deliveries, there is a particular time that the bladder gets weak. You don't have that control over urine. And so that is one of the points which I think I look at it from the perspective of providing materials to support these people to fight this stigma that a woman sits on the chair and gets up and her dress is wet. On the other hand, looking at this from this perspective, I look at menstruation as well. It is something no woman can escape. It is something no girl can escape. It is something, but it is but a biological process which we celebrate. I remember when I told my mother that I'm menstruating, oh Lord have mercy on me. I was at a stage of anger, frustration, shame, and everything. My mother prepared the best meal that day. And she was celebrating. It is a celebration. Why? Because it shows these are all the signs that I am able to be a woman. I am going to reproduce. And if the women don't menstruate, if the girls don't menstruate, the chances of reproduction are low. So there is no multiplication as well. So it is looked at it from different angles. In our societies, it was looked at it with something like it is joy. And some communities, in many communities, when a girl menstruates, she's ready for marriage. She's important. If a girl doesn't menstruate, no man will stand there to knock your mother's door. So it is like an expectant period in a girl's life in some of our African communities. In Europe, on the other hand, or in the developed world, on the other hand, it is but something natural. They just know girls grow up and at a certain stage, or they have to menstruate, and that is but normal. But what I found very interesting is my 13-year-old, I have three daughters, and one of my daughters with her friends, they are in the primary school here, and they are all menstruating, but nobody ever told the girls about menstruation in school. So she brought questions, and she has even questions to answer from her friends, and the internet is free. There is so much where they can get information. So the parents don't even talk about them. So the stigma is not only something that is seen from the African perspective of it, it is something that is seen worldwide. And unless we talk about it, we will not be able to overcome it for the generations of tomorrow.
Absolutely, yes. Talking about it, bringing the education to women and girls around the world is so important. So I'm going to pass the virtual microphone over to Alexandre now. He's very eager to ask you some more questions about the foundation and your work.
Yes, thank you, Kat. Thank you, Doreen.
Hi,
Doreen, I definitely want to come back to, you touched on the incontinence stigma. I just want to come back in a bit on this. But before this, for people listening to us right now, I would like maybe if we can go back to a wider perspective on the Cho Ngafor Foundation and also the Dorena Pads project. So just for people listening to us right now, just to remind that you are the founder of the Cho Ngafor Foundation.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say that we will use the term WASH in the discussion, which is water, sanitation, and hygiene, just for people listening to us. So obviously, like Kat said, the Cho Ngafor Foundation is focusing on education, WASH, menstrual health, and within the foundation, there's the Dorena Pads project, which I think is really cool that we discovered it through Bowie, and we'll put the link about this in the description of the interview, which produces washable clothes. I think you have a visual support with you, am I right?
Yeah, sure. I got some. I think I got them somewhere. I need to look where I got them. Yeah, so I got a few here. So I'll be showing you that while talking about them.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So maybe just to introduce like this project and this foundation that are both really empowering stories in a Cameroon context also. Could you share maybe the story of where this journey all began?
Okay, yeah, sure. I will share this story because it is very passionate for me, very passionate because the Cho Ngafor is my father. So that is my father. He passed away when I gave birth to my daughter, and it was a C-section. So I could not travel. So I literally saw my father 2 years before he passed away. And so after he passed away, my daughter was 3 years. Then I decided to visit his grave and see where he was laid to rest. When I arrived home in Cameroon, I had a handful of children who came to help. So my father was a teacher, and these are the children my father taught in our dining room. There is a blackboard there. He did a wall where he could teach the children, and they sat on the floor. And while he passed away, these children cannot go back to school. So I was so touched by the move of these children, all of them wanting to help. And I live now in a community in Switzerland where people build graves. People visit the graves of their loved ones. They buy wreaths, they put there and everything. So what I could do for my own community was to support these kids. My father taught them to go back to school. So I took contact with the church. I talked with the priest, and he was very understanding. And so the priest gave me, the church as a whole, they gave me a form of scholarship where I don't pay the tuition, or if I have to pay, I pay part. And then the church gives part for free. And then the parents were obliged to be part of the project. So they bought the uniforms and the books. They must be, it was a condition. So in that way, we could support children who were willing. We just chose them at random, especially from a family of 5 kids, and none is going to school. And we have 2 promising kids who want to go to school. So we chose 1 kid from that family. And they went to school up to the primary stage. So after the primary stage, I did not continue with the secondary school, higher school. I did not do that. I taught them how to learn a trade. And so that is how the CN Foundation came into being. And then owing, yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, please.
No, go ahead.
I was just wondering maybe more holistically about, because of course we'll try to put some links in the description of the interview, but maybe more holistically, in which context is this? Are we currently in a city? Are we currently in a village?
We are currently in a village setting. It does more with the hard to reach communities. I am of the perspective that if somebody can live in the capital city, you can afford to take care of yourself. So I don't fight to come and give you my resources when there is somebody in another vicinity where there is even access to this area is so difficult. You don't have a shop. You have possibility to buy some fresh fruits maybe once in 2 weeks because somebody goes and buys and brings. So I go to these communities where it is really difficult for these people to get these things. I think they are those who need our support.
And maybe if we can, because the foundation is right now, as the moment, is focusing on doing some classes, right? It's some form of trainings.
Yeah, we do right now. I do some classes offer radio through the radio stations, because everybody in every small area can have a radio, community radio station I use. And they have so many questions on this topic of menstruation. So many girls come up with this idea of menstruation. Why menstruation? I used to carry out activities with children in school. Once every year on my father's birthday, I say I do something with the kids. So when I went back to Cameroon on one of these occasions, the whole school was playing out, and there were 2 miserable girls sitting in the class. They were menstruating. One was the onset of menarche, and she never had anything. They all sat in the class on the bench, and blood was dropping. So they went through the window, the classroom, they jumped through the window to go home. When I found out how they went home, that is a history I got. And the next one was what they used to manage these menses. They use leaves of trees. We have some particular trees, just like the leaves of the mango trees. They are washed together and then pressed like spinach together. And once they are pressed, they put them in a cloth. So before these leaves get soaked out, before they get soaked out with the blood, that is when they can then throw them. To get a reserve of these leaves that they can use something in the night, they do wash them, squeeze them together, still just like spinach, press them together, and they tie a small portion of it, and it is buried behind the house. So you know, in the night when it is dark, you cannot go to the tree to harvest these leaves. That is how you harvest your leaves. So I did follow these girls, and with my health background, I felt bad for them. I decided to help. So on return to Switzerland, then I gathered parts, used packets that have been opened, they were not completely used. Instead of throwing them, I said there is a community that really needs this. So I gathered parts for girls, and I could support above 31 girls in 2 years. So always I send a bag of parts to Cameroon, always I send a bag of parts to Cameroon. And then the number kept increasing. So I needed some sustainability. And going back to look again at the part of sustainability, I see that girl who was in me. I started menstruating while I was in Cameroon. And then my mother gave me a face towel. And so I see that girl in me today as the girl in the community back in Cameroon. Then I came back with the idea of, but how can I do to sustain them, to make sure they always have pads? That is how I came about sewing the Dorena Pads. And I named them the Dorena Pads because it is Doreen. I'm in the middle of being an aged woman, and I'm representing these young girls. The small girl who used to grow in me is this small girl I see today in that community where I serve. I used to run around, I used to run, no shoes, nothing, we just run barefoot, we were very happy. These are these girls whom I see today in me. So these parts, I started doing them, drawing from old parts. I gathered different types of parts and drew them on the paper. Took these papers, put them on a piece of cloth and cut them. Then I tried to stitch them with a hand, and then I see how it went. And at the end of the day, I'm not reinventing the wheel. These parts exist. So that is how I came about the Dorena Pads, which I will show you a sample of it. So this is one.
Wow.
This is another one. So I go with different types of materials.
Can you give us a bit of a business insights? What kind of materials are they?
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay.
They're so pretty.
so before coming to the type of material, so I went to this one because I wanted it to be sustainable. I wanted the girls to have enough. If every girl has one of these, two of these, three of these, it's going to serve you for a year. And then again, I went home, I went looking for shops where they sell the parts, the disposable parts in the communities. In one community, there were 2 packets of parts, and that community has about 100 girls. So around 100 girls are going to buy 2 packets of parts. Who buys and who doesn't buy? Again, in the communities, the rampant rate of young girls getting pregnant was alarming because the boys have to give them the money for the parts, and the exchange of this money is sexual pleasures. They don't give you the money for free. And so most of them they don't even understand when the menstrual period begins, what happens with the menstrual period, they get pregnant. So that is a reason today. It's just a combination of all the reasons for the radio programs today. It is that I continue to educate them. I give a small hint to them. Hey, listen, this is how you calculate your menstrual cycle. That is the highest questions that come up. Oh, I don't know my menstrual cycle again. Oh, my blood is coming out black. Oh, it is coming red. Oh, 2 months and I did not bleed. So they have these questions why I cannot go down, but there is a team in Cameroon. I have a team working with me. I'm not alone. So this team tells me there are these questions, they snap them. There is a WhatsApp group, they snap in the WhatsApp group and send to me those that I can do faster, I do. And so every Thursday morning from 7 a.m. Cameroon time, that is 8 o'clock my time, I sit with them on the radio. They are in the radio, I'm here like a backup, and answer them the question. So another way to reach them was, I could not reach everybody at once because some complained it was too early, they could not get answers, they could not answer their questions. So I did plead with the radio station to replay this program at 8 p.m. in the evening. And if anybody misses the program, I started a YouTube channel, which I said I'm going to put again everything on it where they can then go and then see it with the context of what happens on the ground and what you can do. So owing to I'll send you a link to the YouTube channel. It's called Marido. Marido because Martin is my father, Regina is my mother, who represents the sustainability, the livelihood of the family, and I am the child, so it's a generation. That's how I came about the name of the YouTube channel, just thinking and having fun over words and playing with them really. So these are the parts. I use real cotton material, and I try to look for different means that you can close them. This is a small pin. These pins where we can have on the market in Cameroon very much. And then they can stitch these pins because not all can be put with the machine. Not everybody has an access to the machine. And these parts, they are in three sizes. This is a medium. I have a smaller one. The smaller one is not right here right now. And then I have a bigger one as well. So when there is a heavy flow, I recommend, this is the biggest one, I recommend for the maternity women. So this one, I recommend it because it has a possibilities to insert. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers, 5 layers, depending on how the flow, how heavy the flow is. And so you can put them in, you can take them out, you can change them as many, and you can have enough on the way. And to carry them on the way, I have small bags, carry-on bags. And I just put with some clips in. If you have used them, you just fold them and put them in your bag. So if you have a bag like this in your handbag, nobody comes to ask you, what is that?
So by important. Yeah, I feel like
this one came into being because we also look at the elderly women in the community, where we talked about the incontinence. Most of them, some of them don't menstruate anymore, but because we talked about their bladders being weak, them giving birth so many times, they have these difficulties of incontinence. So the women, elder women, also came out with these slots. They can use just this one. It's like a slip liner, what we have today, like a slip liner. And it has, those I gave them, they had a protective side, just like the pads. They have the backer where it does not leak through, and they have the front side where they use. So you just need to lay this on the pants and you are good to go. So they have learned to sew theirs, 3, 4 of theirs, so they can use it and they can keep it. The materials I use are mostly cotton materials. I use mostly cotton materials. For the backer, I use something colorful to make them look nice, make them look great. And the inner side that comes to the skin has its own material identified. So this is more soft. It's also the same cotton material. This one is at times polyester, so it doesn't leak through. And in between, it's filling either the multung or the towel, just similar material to the towel that soaks very well. So that is a bit of the pads, and I go right down to give them to the ladies. They all have a bag. They come in a bag, and then the small carry-on bag. At times they are not the same, but the idea is that if you have 4 to 5 of this in your bag and your menstruation come, you have a carry-on bag. Anytime, once in a month, you just need to take this bag and you are good to go. Every mother as well, for the incontinence part. So you have your bag, you tie it, keep it at home. This is your personal carry-on luggage. This is your personal bag, and nobody goes to disturb you about this bag. So that is my idea. So for the distribution in Cameroon, I made an identical bag. This is a logo of the Cho Foundation.
Yes, yeah.
So I choose a girl-friendly color for the distribution. So that's what I do actually in Cameroon. So far, we have been able to distribute 3,011 pads. I got women in Switzerland to help me sew. We will be sewing again in Switzerland sometime in September. A group of women, 4 or 5, they come to help. And so what I do is I start to cut this material and cut them and cut them and cut them and keep. So when the women have time, then they come together, we arrange sewing machines and places, and then the church gives me a small room, and then I sit there and we sew. So it is our free time activity once in a while. If you don't have a bag, you can also pack them. You put them in the pocket of your trousers. You are good to go. Just carry up something small. You just put it inside. You are good to go.
Doreen, if you can share us maybe some pictures of the production with the group that is doing that would be great, so we can attach it to the interview. I think you wanted to conclude, right? I think we are short on time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
unfortunately, we're running out of
Oh,
time.
it's so
But
nice.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Doreen, for introducing the actual pads for us. And I think it's really great that you provide the little bag, and then I guess the little Velcro bag, and then the larger bag, because I know, at least for myself, I remember all of my adolescence being worried that someone would see my menstrual products, you know.
Yeah.
So that's honestly, that's probably a stigma that we should try to combat, but I think in the meantime it's lovely to have those bags along with the pads.
Perfect. Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing about your work. I'm sorry we don't have more time. I feel like we could talk for ages about this. We're so interested. So thank you, Alex, for your questions. And before we do go, I wanted to ask one more two-part question. We only have a few minutes here, so we like to finish by asking you, how do you envisage, or I guess envisage, an age-inclusive future looking like? Going back to our envisage theme of ageism, right? And what kind of action can our viewers and what can we take to contribute to your cause at the Cho Ngafor Foundation?
Okay. Like I said at the beginning, aging is a lifelong process. So I think aging is a perfect target, and it is a collective advocacy we all have to put our hands on, because we are getting old. So when we make the world today a better place, we are not making the world today a better place just for us or for those who are there. We are making it for us and for our generation. So they are going to grow learning while we decided to make a world a better place. So one, I will tell everybody to join this movement, because I find it really important. I did not consider so much of the age people while working with them. I just worked with them because they were mothers of the girls. I didn't consider them like also that they also have their own part. And for my project, I look forward that if we join hands together, my biggest wish now is to have a sewing center in Cameroon to support these girls be able to sew their own parts there and use them. And why not do it as a social business for them? Because right now I sew most of 80% or 90% of the sewing takes place in Switzerland, and I transport it to Cameroon. So it is one, it is good economically, it is nice, but it is not sustainable, because I can't do that for a very long time. So I look forward to give them that opportunity to have a sewing center, to create employment for these girls, to reduce the unwanted pregnancies, to educate other generations. And we are not refusing people from using the disposable parts. There are cups, there are tampons, there are every possibilities. But we are merely creating a solution, an alternative solution where people always have something. During the COVID, there was a serious lockdown, and not everybody could afford a pad. What if you just started somewhere? What will you do? These washable pads were going to serve you somehow, some way. So I am advocating for everybody to join and just come back to the world. Take yourself a little bit from the world you are today, and let us look what happened in the days behind, and we think about the communities where the people don't have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We are definitely going to try to join this movement. So for our viewers, you can learn more at the Cho Ngafor Foundation's website, cnfoundation.ch. And you can also find the foundation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So don't forget to follow Envisâge on Facebook and Instagram at envisage.no.ageism. Check out our website and LinkedIn, and register for our conference November 14th and 15th this year. More details will be coming soon. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye then. Bye.